down. I've been a fool to myself. I thought that I could live for no one else. But now, through all the hurt and pain, it's time for me to respect the ones who love me more than anything. So with sadness in my heart, feel the best thing I could do is end it all and leave forever.
Formerly lauded awards ceremonies are introducing inclusivity measures in a bid to force game developers and filmmakers into representing marginalized groups. But in doing so, they risk stagnating mediums that rely on creativity. The British Academy of Film and Television Arts released new guidelines for game developers seeking to apply to the 2021 Game Awards. The so-called BFI diversity standards are being introduced first as a pilot program for a single award at the next show. But if comments from BAFTA CEO Amanda Berry are any indication, such guidelines will stretch into other categories going forward. A move which will only damage the creative vision of those who pour their lives into telling their stories. As the BAFTA's new rules make quite clear, free expression is being sidelined all in the name of representation. Developers are being tasked with meeting a number of criteria that dictate things such as having a lead character stem from a marginalized group or containing environments which depict underrepresented regions. Not even the development team is safe, as companies are also being pushed to hit diversity quotas. Have a team of 20 men who are all hired because they are the best for the job? Well, you better hope some of them identify as women or are gay, because otherwise, even if you put out the best game ever, you may not get recognized for it. So long, meritocracy. It was nice knowing ya. This extends beyond gaming, too, as even the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences recently pledged that by July 31st, it will have a task force created with the purpose of developing new Oscar eligibility standards centered around, you guessed it, inclusivity and representation. As someone who cares about free expression, especially as it pertains to art, I find all of this quite troublesome. It is a brute force tactic to homogenize artistic mediums, and at the end of the day, few people will actually benefit. For one, it will potentially limit the stories we see on our screens. I can't help but wonder if critical darling BioShock came out not in 2007, but 2022. Would it not be recognized for its greatness simply because its story leads are heterosexual white men? What about Saving Private Ryan, or even Super Mario Galaxy? Neither of those are vastly diverse, so would they not win awards because they don't hit a gay black female quota? This should not be a bold stance, but media featuring just white people is perfectly acceptable, just as projects with primarily black leads are, too. Boys in the Hood and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas come to mind in the same vein as American History X or The Godfather. All four are fantastic artistic ventures where the race of the protagonist is vital to capturing a particular time period and setting. Boys in the Hood wouldn't work if the leads were white dudes, just as The Godfather would fail at capturing the inner workings of the Italian mob if the main characters were black. Naturally, that argument applies to gender, sexuality, ethnicities, and whatever else. But if the BAFTAs or Oscars have their way, then many different stories will soon be left at the wayside, and that is not how art should operate. It is also appallingly disrespectful to it. I wish I could believe none of this nonsense matters, but while the Oscars and BAFTAs may appear irrelevant, they are still influential forces behind the scenes. And it's likely certain projects won't be funded or greenlit out of fear of that come the coveted Game/Film of the Year ceremonies. Such a project would miss out. Similarly, in an effort to maximize positive coverage from a press that is largely behind inclusivity initiatives, publishers may dictate studios follow said guidelines because bad coverage will lead to lower sales. None of this even gets into how this will just lead to a rise in tokenism. Representation isn't necessarily bad. I'll actually have a video on this very subject in the near future, but I'm not opposed to representation. It was growing up that seeing certain things on TV helped me come to terms about myself, and that is important and it is vital to certain people. But representation has to be done well, and often what we're seeing today is it's just empty pandering to pull in certain people, and tokenism doesn't help anybody. Badly written characters meant to hit a checkbox doesn't help anybody. And that is all this is gonna do. You cannot force creatives to tell certain stories. You have to let creatives tell what they want to tell, whether the story they're telling is about a white dude or a gay non-binary person who identifies as a hippopotamus. And obviously I'm taking that to an absurd extreme, but if somebody has a story to tell, let them tell their story regardless of what it is. There's tons of media out there with gay characters or black characters or indigenous characters or whatever other characters, and they do well. If you tell a good story or make a good game, people are gonna seek it out. But you have to let creatives tell the stories they want to tell. But what we're seeing here is diversity quotas by checklist, and none of that is authentic. The best and most memorable characters in any form of media are written from authentic places. They're made by creatives who care about the stories they're telling. I mean, do you think Breaking Bad or The Wire would be as good as they are if the creatives behind it had just been told, no, you have to go do this because we said so? It wouldn't have the passion that such projects need to elevate beyond just mindless junk. So take your diversity quotas and shove them up your ass. My only hope through all of this is that these moves create adequate backlash, for which there's a myriad of reasons for that to occur. At its core, this is just a woke agenda that borders on social conditioning with the sole purpose of making the general populace look at certain stories as somehow wrong. It is an effort to make us view art not for what it is, but for what it is not. It is a tactic to convince us that entertainment which lacks specified character traits is meritless. But art is not meant to conform to a checklist, and anyone who thinks otherwise doesn't understand what art is, and they sure as hell should not be in a position to judge it.